Hello guys, this is your health and energy coach. In this video I'm going to talk about the how energy or strong bioenergy field can help you basically transform your health and well-being. As you know from my previous videos, I've talked extensively of the importance of the strong bioenergy field. But here we're going to go into a little bit of the something that's very, very important and it precedes the strong bioenergy field, and that is the awareness of the actual prevention rather than healing. So you might ask yourself, what is the correlation of a strong bioenergy field with prevention? I guess you have, in your own way, actually have some ideas about what it might mean, purely if you watched my previous videos, and that is that the all the issues on the both physical, spiritual, psychological or mental level are coming from the reduced energy flow, or in other words, lower illumination of your bioenergy field, and with that lower energetic intensity that beams and actually dwells from within your own bioenergy field. Now, where prevention comes into place, I'm not going to repeat everything in my previous videos, but basically when you're younger, what have you, it automatically replenish itself, because that's the way how the whole how can I say, the bioenergy software works at the subcellular level. But the problem comes, as explained in my previous video, is when you hit 25 and above. Now here you're reaching a bit of a so-called grey zone. And why is that a grey zone? Because here you're now in a danger if you're not looking after yourself on a daily basis, which means, and I cannot repeat that, how can I say enough, is that awareness is number one. Awareness means that you need to become fully conscious of the fact that you are really responsible for your physical and the mental health. And it's not coming from outside. Well, it is outside, it affects a lot of that, but it mainly comes from inside, because whatever you build from within yourself actually will have or create a response to what is happening outside. In other words, if you build yourself as something that you need to work on yourself on a daily basis, be fully responsible for all your thoughts and the emotions, all that will actually positively influence whatever it is that you're experiencing outside. And what does that mean? Basically, if you have a certain sort of negative outcomes happening to you, or you perceive them to be negative because they don't meet with your map of the world at this particular moment, and you see these events as being highly uncomfortable, challenging, inappropriate, and whatever they might be, they will automatically impact your thinking, and with that your emotions. And if you don't control these two particular elements, because if you remember, thoughts are electric, and most importantly, the emotions are magnetic in nature. So which means the thought is the spark of something, but that spark, if it keeps coming up all the time, it can cause a fire. And that fire then starts to consume, and that consumption from within yourself actually starts to create this electromagnetic force that actually draws you exactly what you're afraid. In other words, if you're afraid of certain things to happen, whatever it might be, you're actually afraid that you're going to lose your health, lose your house, or lose your partner, or whatever it might be. You have problems with the money, or whatever it might be. you're actually going to create that by this extremely potent combo of thoughts that are initiating all that and the emotions that are actually attracting all that into your biosphere. Now, this is very, very important to be aware of, because if you're not aware of this particular fact, the danger is, and this is the part of the prevention, the danger is that you are going to be left to the circumstances or outside circumstances to dictate how you are going to feel at any moment in time. And I'm sure you'll agree with me that the great majority of people do actually exactly that. They allow external events to dictate their own thoughts and emotions. Like, for instance, you leave your house now and somebody blocked your drive and you cannot pull your car out, what have you, you're late in the meeting, you're late whatever you're going, and that person became very difficult for you to deal with, and things like that. You get engaged, all that fires you up, and so on and so forth. What it does, really, is start with the thought, oh, what is this person doing here? Why is it he or she doing what he's doing? What have you? You engage in the conversation. The conversation didn't go nicely. It starts to flare up. Emotions get involved. They're not always more or less a negative nature, and that actually keeps you and hold you in that particular negative state. And then, of course, if you continue to dwell in this particular state, you're going to attract not the similar things that people park into your drive, but actually you might have a problem getting parking space in the supermarket or wherever you're going, or you might hit the traffic, or you might, whatever it may be the case, you might actually experience that because you're attracting something that will inevitably present itself depending on the actual strength of the emotional discharge you're actually beaming out of yourself into your bioenergy field. And that actually presents this electromagnetic force that draws things into your physical field. So where the prevention comes in? It comes in, first of all, to understand, as I said earlier on, and to be aware of your thoughts and your emotions. This is absolutely number one thing that you need to be aware of. Because without having that particular awareness, it's very difficult to be literally aware of anything else. Literally almost impossible. Because if you're not aware of basic thoughts and emotions you're going through, you stand no chance to be aware of anything else whatsoever. Impossible. And for that reason, you really need to work on yourself just to achieve that particular level of awareness, which is not easy. Hence, this program I put forward and I'm teaching, and which actually will help you. But then again, it doesn't come without a proper daily work on yourself, and it's not something that you need to be doing like religiously, hours and hours on day in, day out. No, this is something that you really need to be doing at the best 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon or midday, and 10 minutes in the evening. That's all it is. If you do more than that, excellent. If you can do even less, okay, no problem. But then again, for as long as you do something, that's better than doing nothing. And so the prevention comes in a sense of controlling your states. So when you're leaving the house, as opposed to being erratic, whatever comes to you, you react upon it just because you don't know what else to do. You don't have a preconceived strategy of what you need to be doing at any moment in time, so you react depending on what is the intensity of the moment you're being presented with, as opposed to working on basically calming yourself down by calming and reducing your brainwave activity and working on it literally on a minute-to-minute basis, At the beginning, a bit more demanding, but as you carry on doing what you're doing, that will in itself become much easier task, because you'll become more proficient and you'll be much better in doing this particular exercise, which is very, very powerful. And this simple sort of approach, by being aware of your thoughts and emotions, is the key in the prevention of possible malfunctions or dysfunctions that could come in the future in case you do not control these basic cognitive faculties. It's very, very simple, because a lot of people will say that there is something to do with the flexibility of your approach. And yes, the flexibility of the approach comes through being able to, first of all, be aware of your current states. That's the number one factor of the flexibility, of the mental flexibility regarding situations you may be experiencing in the real world. And in order for you to do that, really, you need to do a lot of a certain set of actions, which I'm going to explain in detail in the videos that will come. But there are 4 things that I'm always putting forward as very, very powerful. And they are, in what I'm doing on a daily basis, is I always monitor my own body geometry, or in other words, my own posture. I'll come back to each one of them. The second one is I'm doing something that's called the breath exercises. Not meditation, not the any of those kind of like fancy words, just simple breathing exercises in where I am basically working out my lungs. And for that, I'm starting to reduce my brainwave activity, and with that, I'm starting to regulate the workings of my endocrine system, which creates this so-called state of homeostasis in my body. The third thing I do is I release negative energy from my body, and I then recycle that energy and recharge back the positive energy back into my bioenergy field. So it means that at all times I am recharging myself on a energetic level. Very, very important, because every negative thought, and particularly emotions, are creating the so-called negative energy in and out of your physical body. And that negative energy vibrates at different frequencies and amplitude levels to your native frequencies and amplitude levels at the subcellular level. And through prolonged exposure to different readings, energetic readings, it starts to create a confusion at a subcellular level, which I spoke about before, but now it's going to a different level. And that leads on to potential dysfunctions. So for that reason, all these things are important. And the last one in this series is being in the present moment. So why is the present moment important? I'll start from this one. I'm going to go all the way back to the one to explain more, add more beef onto the bone about these 4 principles. And in later videos I'll explain each and one of them individually in more details. So why is it important to be in the moment? Because if you're not in the moment, like I'm here and now and exactly where I am in my study, and I'm aware of everything around me, and I can see that there's no danger, that I'm fully in a safe space. It's my space, and there's nothing around me that can actually arouse me in a negative way. Or nothing can happen in this particular environment I'm here and now that can actually cause me to feel any thoughts and emotions that can lead me into a negative state. if you can actually do the same thing, wherever you are, observe clearly, and I'll explain this in greater details in other videos, but observe clearly as to where you are and detect what the danger is for you. Very important, because the danger is not the same for you or for me or whatever, because the danger can be a superficial thing like I'm going to lose the job. Okay, you're going to lose the job, but then again, the main question should be, are you healthy? Yes, I am, what have you. Do you still have your head on your shoulders? Can you still move your arms and your legs? And are you healthy? If all these answers are positive, then there's a great possibility and a likelihood that you will get another job very quickly. So even that is the case, there's no need to despair. Let's assume that example, because that really gets a lot of people off the rails. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, you're feeding your family, or your bills are coming, and so on and so forth. But let me tell you this. Maybe this is good for you, because you've been working for somebody who doesn't appreciate you, doesn't respect you, he doesn't value who you are and your work. It's only a question of time before they will pull the plug. So maybe better now than later, because you'll be continuing to put a lot of energy into something that's not going to yield anything for you going forward. So at least now you know the score and you can do something about it to improve. Now, this is a different way of thinking as opposed to being and just flowing with everything ahead of you, being preoccupied with all different thoughts and emotions that go and fly into your, and entertain all of them, and being faced like something like redundancy of or possibility of being sacked. That can create havoc because you're not prepared for that. And all that will create an absolute storm of negative thoughts and the emotions that can absolutely derail you in every respect. And that derailment has absolutely negative effect on your body. And as your body becomes distorted, it actually creates more chaos because it sends SOS messages into your sort of psychic sphere. And with that, it creates even more confusion in terms of your ability to process thoughts and then deal with the relevant emotions that are coming as a consequence. So do you see where I'm coming from? I'll explain more of this in later videos, but this is basically what it is. Now, going down into the hierarchy of things, energy exercises. Why are they important? Well, simply because if you are energizing yourself at all times, you're basically bringing the fresh new energy at all times into your bioenergy field. That, as I explained in previous videos, it's a mirroring effect. So the more luminous your bioenergy field, the more luminous is from within your subcellular structure. So that means that all the cells are communicating properly with each other, everything is running smoothly, and you are running and firing on all cylinders. So that means you are healthy. Every thought and emotions you produce, particularly those of negative nature, have an impact on your subcellular structure. I said earlier in this video and the previous videos, the negative thoughts have a certain frequencies and amplitude levels that are different to your native ones, and prolonged dwelling in that will affect the communication on the subcellular level, and that will start the process of dysfunction. Now, as our bodies are programmed to be extremely resilient to all external influences that are processed through your thoughts and the emotions and felt into your body, it can sustain that. But repeated and constant repetition of the same negative events are eventually going to catch up with you. And for that reason, you need to release the negative energy that comes with constant and unobstructed and uncontrolled negative thoughts and emotions. This absolutely must, because the more you work on that, and you can now release onto the position number 2, which is the actual breath. Through the breath and position number 1, which is the stance, you're effectively regulating your bioenergy field, and without even working too much on your cognitive side, which is being aware of your thoughts and emotions, you're releasing that load. It's like a pumping from the ship in the middle of the sea, who is now fractured hull. Water is penetrating into the ship itself, into the internal structure of the ship, and all you need is the pumps to get the water out. Because if you do not have those pumps and the water constantly coming into the ship, the weight structure will change, and it will start leveling with the weight of the water, and the moment it becomes heavier than the water itself, it will start to sink. So the idea is for the object to be lighter than the actual force of the water below. The same thing is here. You have to keep releasing the negative energy in order not allow it to overwhelm your bioenergy field, so that it becomes a quite imposing force that will actually literally squash everything around you, and your native readings that are sort of predictable and that are really, how can I say, right for you, and to be healthy. Because those will be totally different readings that will lead for you to be unhealthy. So in order to maintain just the basic levels of health, you need to work on debalancing your bioenergy field. And that helps you all for being in the moment, so you can be aware where you are now, so you see no issues, and so no dangers coming. Nothing is abstract. Everything is concrete and sort of fully manageable. Of course, if you're in situations where your life is in danger, it's a different ballgame. In that case, you do whatever you need to do to save your physical life. But anything outside of you being in direct physical danger of death or serious injury or anything like that is abstract. It's irrational. So you have the power to change that, and you change that through realizing that you're in control. Then you work on yourself through the posture, through the actual breathing, and through the energy exercises to release that slowly accumulated negative energy out of your bioenergy field. Let it out, refresh that with positive energy, and allow your body to work normally, because that is important. And as you continue doing that, your body will then start to stabilize and send the thoughts to your how can I say, the mental side, that everything is okay. And so from mentally or through your thinking process, you are going to be now processing thoughts of more subtle nature, which will automatically then influence your emotions. And this is how it works. Now, when you start creating that from the energetic side, then you can start implementing your cognitive exercising that actually helps you through the position of being in the moment. You come back to the square one, which is now I'm now physically controlling the flow of energy. That now reduces my anxiety, reduces any sort of mental pressures that I might have here and now. And now it gives me a mental space where I can actually conclude that everything is okay. I'm in charge through being in the moment, through doing energy exercises, through breathing, and through posture. I can then start to do the various mental exercises that will then start to completely change the picture that I'm seeing, because we work on the basis, or the brain works on the basis of pictures. And literally everything is picture based. So all the thoughts that we see are nothing but the pictures. And depending on how we interpret those particular pictures, we then shift our thinking process towards that direction, which is then backed up by the emotions, and that creates and paints the picture. Not what we receive, is what we perceive that is what we have received. So as this is all perceptual, then it's possible to be molded in any way you want it. So if that's the case, why don't you mold it to work for you as opposed to work against you? These are now two different things which you need to be very careful. And this is something I can help you with. So I'll be very interested to hear your thoughts about what I have shared with you in this video. And normally you can please leave your thoughts down into the comments section, or you can actually send me an email on info@energy-savvy.com, and I will then answer any questions you may have within 24 to 48 hours. But the best way is just leave your comments below. I will monitor them, and I will then reply and provide any further guidance you may need. And also, if you have any specific cases that you would like to share with me or with us, please do so. It'll be interesting to know. And we can create a bit of community where we can actually exchange different experiences and basically create something that will universal tool that can help other people to feel more empowered. So this is it for this video, and I'll see you in the next video.